give the command.
Drivers, start your Iowa corn ethanol-powered engines!
Now there's a man who's passionate about his product and his company.
Can't fault him. I mean, we're in corn country. But these guys are going to battle tonight. You can see everybody's so focused. It is a war in front of these guys. Long way to go to do 300 laps here, Paul.
Tell you what, it's going to be a heck of a first corner. I look for Kanaan. Watch him go rodeo style and make a move on the outside. I think he's going to want to assert himself like he did last year, get it in the lead and control the pace.
There's something about this track and Tony Kanaan. Now, mind you, the pole sitter, Helio Castroneves, has had a very good history here as well, but nobody has led more laps than TK, Tony Kanaan. This place just suits Tony's driving style, and he knows, there he is right there. He just knows how to get in the groove right from the word go. He led both practice sessions and was incredibly quick. He just got pipped by Helio Castroneves for the P1 pole award. We need to remind you not to miss a chance on getting in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes by entering at shophonda.com. Tonight's lucky winner, taking the ride along there with Connor Daly on the right-hand side, is Kathy Ramsey from Athens, Alabama. How is it, Kathy? I think we found out.
Oh my God! I gotta get me one of these!
Well, we wish you all the best. We'll put you in contact with someone at Honda, and maybe they can help you out. And remember what Paul Tracy told you. Just keep smiling, all right? Keep breathing. Keep smiling. And a reminder that Kathy was able to do that by going to shophonda.com to get the opportunity of starting a Verizon Indycar Series race. And again, Connor Daly, who did 5 or 6 races this year and is doing some sports car racing as well, he is leading the field. All right, let's walk you through. We're going to bring you some pretty cool camera angles tonight. Ryan Briscoe, who's been in the thick of it lately, with thanks to Lucas Oil, will give us this view aboard his Schmidt-Peterson Honda. Tony Kanaan sitting on the front row with thanks to NTT Data will have this view, and you can see the sun there making an impact, having an impact, but that won't last for too much longer. MyJack Products gives us this view aboard the number 15 Steak and Shake MyJack entry for Graham Rahal, championship contender. He is just 1 point out of the top 3. Let's see what he can do. And can this man here, Ryan Hunter-Reay, get his 3rd victory in 4 years here? He's won 2 of the last 3, and Verizon squad, and it's Charlie Kimball, who is the pilot of the 83, ready to do work and perhaps ready to eclipse his best result of the year of 3rd at the Indianapolis 500. We'll see what Charlie and his crew can do tonight. And our Verizon streaming car, it is the number 20 Chevrolet of Ed Carpenter from CFH Racing. It's adrenaline on demand. Download the IndyCar 15 mobile app to get amazing live streams from in-car cameras and a whole lot more. You know where? It's only from Verizon. So, 1 lap to go. We will pack up, grid up, and go racing. And as in Townsend and Paul said a little earlier, 300 laps around here. Sure, it might not be the biggest speedway in America, but this is hard work. And the pace is fast. To give you an idea, qualifying just over 17 seconds, just over 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that track temperature in the lower left-hand corner of your screen is going to be a big deal as the sun goes down. It's going to cool. Cars will go faster.
Championship contender Helio Castroneves is on the pole, and he's keen to get going. Kanaan is on the outside. Do we see green? No, we don't. It's waved off.
A little bit of a jump start by Castroneves. I think he was ready for Kanaan to try to make a move and said, I'm out of here, and the starter wasn't having it.
And we saw that at Milwaukee. If you remember, on a restart, they wouldn't throw the green when Bourdais got an early jump. So the race control at IndyCar having none of the early enthusiasm.
Well, listen, one of the members of race control in the Verizon IndyCar Series is Jim Swintel, who was a starter for many years himself. Let's see if we can do it this time. The Iowa Corn 300 is go. And going out wide is Marco Andretti. He wants that high line and brings it back down. Newgarden on the inside, right in the middle of the track. Here comes Kanaan on the inside of Helio Castroneves for the lead.
Pushing the inside. He wants that lead. He wants to control the pace. Castroneves fighting back on the outside.
Look who's in behind. Here comes Scott Dixon. Dixon and Kanaan owned this place last year, and in a split second it's going to be a Ganassi 1-2.
And already you can see the strength of the Ganassi team at this Iowa Speedway. Kanaan has checked out. Fastest car in both practice sessions. Dixon gets the position, and now Castroneves is urgently trying to get back by.
These two are fighting for the championship themselves. They are second and third. As they run in the race, they run in the championship.
This is good stuff. This is what you're going to see all night. And as the temperature cools down, like Townsend said, the racing's going to get closer. There'll be more side by side. Right now, we're just getting into the beginning of the first stint. Everybody wants to settle down and see what mileage is. Montoya makes a move around another one of the Ganassi cars in Sage Karam.
Racing in an Indycar for the first time at Iowa Speedway is Sage Karam. Let's ride with Graham Rahal.
And he is in a big hurry to try to make positions. Everybody in the top 5 starting up front, but not Graham Rahal. He started 17th. He's currently 16th, and he's having a heck of a time trying to find some clean air and work his way through the
way
field.
Up high on the groove. He's way up top, and he looks already like he's a little bit loose, checking the throttle there. And see that? A little loose on the exit, so not a good way to start.
So difficult to be that far back in all that turbulent air. And just like at Milwaukee with Castroneves, Graham Rahal has to be careful that he doesn't go a lap down early. The leaders will catch them fast.
Firestone telemetry giving us some important numbers. Here is Simon Pagenaud in the yellow Penske entry alongside Carlos Munoz of Andretti Autosport. These guys are fighting over the 10th position. Pagenaud was credited with it for that lap, but Munoz is not giving up very easily. He now is an IndyCar race winner after the Detroit doubleheader, winning the opening race there in Motortown. Now Pagenaud sweeps around the outside. Pagenaud's got an interesting story to tell from this point of the championship on. He and his race engineer Ben Bretzman are kind of going out on a seek and explore mission on behalf of the team to try and help the other 3 drivers, in particular Juan Pablo Montoya, win this championship.
And I don't think that would be voluntary. I think that would be a directive coming from the top at Team Penske. And Paul, you know better than anybody. They say to Pagenaud, you're the guinea pig. Go out and test setup.
This is tight outside move. We got a yellow. We got a car on the wall, and I think it's Montoya.
It is. The championship leader is out.
Oh,
Juan Pablo Montoya, who has had almost the perfect season to date, finally has something go wrong.
Suspension broke.
Oh, wow. Suspension broke, and he's got to hustle out of there. There's a decent little oil fire there on the right-hand side. Interesting.
This changes everything from now with 4 races to go.
And a double points paying race at the end. People remarked on his consistency. Not necessarily luck, just the amazing run that JPM had this year. Perhaps it's the law of averages. Something had to happen at some time, and it has for the Indy 500 winner in a big style.
Well, we'll have to see if we have a replay of this. I trust the instinct of Montoya that his suspension broke, and we're watching top corner of your screen. Yeah.
The car just took off straight, almost like you would see a NASCAR cut a tire down. He was right in the center of the corner, and the car just went straight on him.
And you can see the sparks.
Yeah, you can see the sparks. It's on the ground. Something broke. Montoya telling what happened. That's devastating.
And that was right at the exit of turn 2. We're on board with Hunter-Reay. Let's watch ahead.
That is a hard hit.
I wonder if the bump in between 1 and 2 might have been the tipping point for whatever failure that he had, because that's, you know, a lot of vertical load as the car settles through there.
2 years in a row, his only 2 appearances at Iowa Speedway have both ended in the same fashion. That is in the wall and out of the race.
And I'll tell you one thing, guys. There is no cars in the paddock that are prepared better than the Penske cars, so this could become an issue.
And 2 years in a row for Montoya. This was last year. Montoya trying to look up the inside of Ed Carpenter. Hard into the fence there. Jan?
Sebastian Bourdais coming in to get his service as well. We watch. And in the meantime, I'd also checked in with Brian Campy, who is the engineer for Juan Pablo Montoya. They say that the data does not come in quickly enough to know what broke on the car. They may have that information afterwards, but for now they say the tire was up, but something definitely went wrong up front.
Folks, this is huge. This is huge. Championship leader. We told you at the top of the show, he's led every step of the way. Juan Pablo Montoya out of the race. He has completed all but 1 lap this season. It has been incredible. Of 1,557 laps, he's completed 1,556 before the green flew today. Montoya, the points leader, out. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Iowa Corn. Our state, our fields, our ethanol. And by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger. Proud sponsor of the number 15 and Graham Rahal. NBCSN's live coverage of the Verizon IndyCar Series. We welcome you back to the Iowa Corn 300. And boy, what a start and what a championship turning point. Juan Pablo Montoya, the points leader, is out of the race. Robin Miller is with him.
First of all, you all right?
Yeah, a little bruise in my hand, but it's not a big deal. Just disappointing. Verizon Chevy got a good car. It's a little loose the first couple laps. I just really taking it easy and buying my time, and you know.
It looked like Townsend and Paul said, it looked like a right front in NASCAR that it went straight right. No warning?
No, something broke. I mean, as soon as I loaded up, something gave up. I don't want to say anything until I know what happened.
The bump, is the bump probably the culprit, or?
No, I was running high. It was way before the bump. So as soon as I put wheel on it, it loaded up and the car just went right.
You know, you figure during the season you're going to have one or two bad races, but this is the first time you've had any hiccup all year.
Well, yeah, it sucks when it's completely out of our hands, you know, when something fails. Be good to know what happened.
We're glad you're all right. Kevin?
Graham Rahal hasn't been able to make a whole lot of ground up at this point, but he did dodge one. He hit some debris, and he was afraid that he had an issue after that crash.
I'm getting the car working pretty good up high in 1, 2, 3, 4. Car's a bit loose, following, kind of what I expected. It's just with guys all spread out, it's hard.
And he hit something, and he was afraid he was going to lose tire pressure in the right front. They checked it, everything's okay, so they stayed out. He also said, I think when the sun goes down, that's going to play to our advantage, so don't totally count out Graham Rahal yet.
Starting in 17th, and you may remember Fontana is exactly where he started and went to the top of the podium. There's going to be significant championship swing here points-wise with Montoya out. He will get 6 points for finishing in 24th position. For Scott Dixon, there's 52 points on offer because there's 53 in a full weekend. Castro Neves got the bonus point for pole. There's 52 for Dixon if he can maximize. However, he will not be able to get enough to jump into the lead of the championship. Juan Pablo Montoya will still leave Iowa tonight as the Verizon IndyCar Series points leader, heading to Mid-Ohio in a couple of weeks' time. Wow, what a turning point. This is dramatic. This is the time when people like Scott Dixon, Helio Castro-Neves have to capitalize.
Well, and I wonder if it changes at all the dynamic between Tony Kanaan and Scott Dixon. Coming into this race, it was all about Kanaan trying to help Dixon win the championship. With a massive point swing with Montoya out, does Kanaan start to think to himself, hey, I might actually have an outside chance?
Well, here comes Bourdais. He's going to top up again, it looks like, go on a completely different strategy to everybody. Jan?
Yes, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're just going to take the opportunity, as long as they don't have the track position, to go ahead and just top off, be full of fuel. It just gives you more options. So you stay, you maintain basically your same position, you have more fuel. It doesn't mean he necessarily is going to go farther. It means on his next stop, he won't have to stay here as long for fuel.
Now going back to Kanaan and Dixon, you would hate to see team tactics and things manipulating a win. I think Kanaan's going to go for it tonight. He's desperate for a win so far this year.
And it was interesting to see the honesty, and I won't name names, but the guys at KVSH Racing having a little laugh with themselves and saying, it may not have been outstanding strategy at Milwaukee. We may have had a little bit of luck on our side, but we'll take it. At the end of the day, Bourdais drove unbelievably. As we take a look at our Iowa corn biggest movers in the early stages of this race, and Justin Wilson leaping 6 places early on to put himself up into 12th. And you know what? If Andretti can turn around tonight and make a result, make something good about this, don't discount Justin Wilson.
I don't think you can discount Justin Wilson at any racetrack on the IndyCar schedule. One of the more experienced drivers, and he always seems to find a way to race his way to the front when he's given a chance. It's nice to see him get the opportunity to finish off the season with Andretti, and I'm sure they're appreciative of everything he brings to the table through all those years.
Just giving you an idea of who's got what as far as onboard cameras and the views and the various views that we can supply you here at Iowa Speedway. This guy here, Ed Carpenter, is carrying our Verizon streaming camera. He really wants to make some big work and some big moves tonight. He wants a decent result. Ed Carpenter is extremely frustrated with season 2015 thus far. Ready to crank it up. Here we go. Iowa Speedway.
Green.
First caution is over. Ganassi 1-2. Kanaan, look at the back there as Andretti tries to force his way through on Sage Karam. That red car right there is the rookie, and the yellow one immediately behind is Marco. Simon Pagenaud. There's a crash. Coletti ducks and dives. He goes to the inside.
That was almost a massive, massive crash. Coletti got into it with somebody coming off of turn 2. He had the big death wiggle going on.
He's not missing any parts, but there was there's certainly somebody's missing something, because there was parts flying. They were really close to the wall coming off.
Who hit who?
There's somebody's rear bumper, it looks like, but
Kimball, front left.
Yeah.
This will decipher it a little bit. Look to the right of your screen. Look to the right and look up high. Kimball and Rahal and Coletti.
And there's just not enough room, Lee, because Coletti was washing up high. Kimball had nowhere to go, had to move up, and Graham was working the outside. On board with Graham Rahal.
That was pretty much an empty hole. Graham just swept around the outside and closed that hole off, and before Kimball knew it, he was there.
And look at how quickly this happened. Just like that. And you know what? Graham Rahal has told us in the past, and I want to think back to Fontana. If I see a gap, I'm going for it.
Well, he had every right to go for that. He had a big run going, and you can't plan for what might happen down below you. I think his car's okay. It didn't look like there was any heavy contact.
So, full course caution number 2. And we can say that this is just the worst of it. Debris on track. No major incident. However, it does impact Charlie Kimball, the 83 Novo Nordisk Novolog car. Will have to come in for a new front wing assembly.
Be interesting to see if more guys take this strategy. You know, for sure, Bourdais being last in line will come in again. Why not?
Look at this, look at this.
Looking at Simon Pagenaud, he got really loose coming out of turn 4.
That was Carlos Munoz just clipping his.
On board with Charlie Kimball.
Watch the walls close in.
Push strong on the outside.
Well, he got the information, but it was too late to do anything.
Okay? Wing.
That's the voice of Barry Waddell, long-time spotter in the Verizon IndyCar Series and driver coach. Been around open wheel racing for a long, long time. And immediately saying to Charlie, "You okay? All right?" Well, he is, but his car and his front wing is not. How about our Verizon P1 pole sitter, Helio Castro Neves, third at the moment, trailing Kanaan and Dixon in the early stages of the Iowa Corn 300. Reminder that you can watch tonight's IndyCar race online at NBCSports.com on mobile and tablets with NBC Sports Live Extra. Isn't that a beautiful shot? It's been pretty hot and humid here in the Heartland, I have to tell you, but tonight it's cooling off and it's a beautiful evening to go racing. And this guy here, Tony Kanaan, an Indy 500 winner, an IndyCar Series champion, a veteran in the sport, has the eyes on. Just look how close he's following the Chevrolet pace car.
If he gets any closer, he's going to put his nose into one of those quad exhaust tips.
Always thinking he's trying to save that little bit of extra bit of fuel, draft off the pace car in front of him, and that's what you do when you're a veteran. You're always thinking ahead of the game, right?
He's ready to go. He's ready to go, and so too is this guy who features in our Chevrolet driver profile this evening. It's Helio Castro Neves in his 18th season in IndyCar. Just think about the frustration factor for the dancing man. He wants a championship. He's got 3 Indy 500s, but he wants a championship. Look at that stat there, third row down. Second 4 times. He can leave this sport with a championship. If he can leave with a championship, it will be career complete. He's such a happy, positive guy. He's great to be around. He's a lot of fun to be around, but it is a thorn in his side. The Brazilian wants this championship. Now, if you're just turning on to NBCSN, your home of motorsport, we do need to tell you that one of the captain's men, Roger Penske's lead guy in this championship as far as points, Juan Pablo Montoya, suffered this big hit. He told Robin Miller just a few moments ago after coming out of the infield medical center that he's just got a bruise on his hand. He's okay. Something broke on the car. Not sure what. The engineers will decipher that. But our championship leader is out of this race. He will still leave Iowa Speedway with the championship lead heading to Mid-Ohio, but boy, is it going to be a lot tighter and a lot closer. He came in with a 54-point advantage. It will be a lot less than that.
At least we get ready for the restart. You know, we talked earlier about Andretti and their strength at this track. Not super stellar in qualifying, but as they run right now, 7, 8, 9, 10 in position. Andretti, Hunter-Reay, Wilson, and Munoz. So that Andretti freight train is gearing up for a charge here.
And the reason why Townsend brings that up, Andretti Autosport has won the last 5 years in a row. There's the reigning series champ, Will Power, desperately needs a good result here, ready to go racing in Iowa. Let's do it. Kanaan leads the field. Look at Castro Neves in the white-black car. Down on the inside, the Hitachi entry for Roger Penske. Does he get second? He's wheel-to-wheel with Scott Dixon. Andretti comes up into the mix. And look at Joseph Newgarden. He's well-placed as well.
Will Power making moves. He was looking high, looking low. Sage Kara making a move around the outside of Andretti. They're both from Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Grew up across the street from each other. And they go wheel to wheel. Marco Andretti told Townsend and myself earlier today, I can win this race tonight.
Wow, and the action off of turn 2 as the camber of the track rolls away is getting really tight as they start to slide around. Tires continue to wear out here as Justin Wilson is now working the high side of his teammate, Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Look at that. It's the Andretti quartet all together. Wilson, Munoz, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Marco Andretti coming in pack formation.
And there's such a desperate urge to get track position before you start to fan out, before that turbulent air really starts to dictate your ability to make progress on the car in front.
See Graham Rahal now pulling up to the back of this train of Andretti cars. So all these Hondas right now running together in formation.
Jan, what have you got?
You can talk about that train of Andretti cars. Well, 3 of the 4 have been complaining that they're getting loose. Justin Wilson, Ryan Hunter-Reay are saying that the car is a little bit loose. Now, we have not heard the same from Marco Andretti, but we saw visual evidence when he was alongside Sage Karen before. The car really stepped sideways, but we know that Marco likes a loose car. He has one right now.
Biggest mover in the race is Justin Wilson, up 9 positions. Ryan Briscoe, second best. Want to take you back a few moments ago on the restart. Ed Carpenter gives us this view. Look at the red car, the MyJack entry of Graham Rahal on the right. Check this out. Outside. I see a gap, I go for it. They're his words.
I love it. Visions of the old Thomas Schechter there going high here in Iowa. On board now with Graham Rahal. And now's the time when things start to slot in a little bit. You saw Marco Andretti earlier running low, and he looks like he got by Sage Karen as Wilson almost gets into the side of Karen coming off of turn 4.
And this is for the lead of the race, the teammates. Dixon on the low side, Kanaan on the high side.
I'll tell you one thing, Kanaan will not give up this lead easily. He had pressure last year and fought and fought and fought, so he's going to want to hang on to this.
This is history repeating. This was Iowa 2014.
Definitely tougher to make the pass happen on the low side. There's more momentum on the top as we see Dixon. He's trying, but to keep that low line and cut under a guy, it's really difficult when you have as good a car as Kanaan.
Paul, I want you to comment on this. Scott Dixon was telling us earlier today that, you know, when you get in that turbulent air behind a car in front like Castro Neves is now to Scott Dixon, you'll lose the front end very quickly. And he said that used to be manageable, but now you'll lose the back in a split second, and it really takes some time to gather it back up again.
Yeah, talking to some of the drivers now, it's like when you were trying to pass a guy, and if a guy decides I'm really going to fight you hard, as soon as you slip the tire and slide the tire and heat it up a little bit more than running on your own, it really costs you. As we see now, that charge that Dixon made, he's fallen off the back of Kanaan now.
Well, Lee, you and I spoke with Joseph Newgarden about that turbulent air. He said, you know, it's not that much different than last year in terms of total downforce loss. The difference is that the air is very unpredictable. It's one big chaotic sort of turbulent flow that comes over the car, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be the front end, the back, the whole car? Very, very tough to predict as you wash through the back of another car like Castro Neves just did on Dixon.
Well, that's what they want. They want to make these cars difficult for these drivers to drive. If it was easy, everybody'd get paid the big bucks, right, Townsend? That's why we're sitting up here.
Well, you took all the money. I don't think there's any money left in this sport.
Kanaan, Dixon, Castro Neves, Newgarden, Power 5th. Andretti, Hunter-Reay, Sage Karam, the rookie in 8th, Justin Wilson and Graham Rahal has come from 17th to 10th. Second biggest mover in this race. Look at Castro Neves there.
He sure looks like he's going to have a chance here to get a wheel under Dixon as he exits the corner. That's what it's going to take to get by.
These two guys have the most to gain from tonight. The red car, the white car. Dixon and Castro Neves, they're second and third in the championship, and the leader in this series is out of the race. Just a spectacular evening here in Iowa, in America's heartland, for the Iowa Corn 300. One of our series contenders, Graham Rahal, has just been dealt a pretty devastating blow. The Fontana winner was forced to come in with a tire going down, and he has lost 2 laps. He has fallen to 22nd position and now begins a massive catch-up. I can only think that this was from that debris that he collected a little earlier. It was a slow puncture, and he was forced to make a green flag stop.
Absolutely, just an unscheduled pit stop here. We now know will cost you 2 laps, but as we see now he's on fresh tires. He can fight his way back through, but he's going to need a lot of luck to get his laps back.
He might be all right, guys, in that lap 60, if he makes that pit stop, if it stays green, your leaders are going to have to pit under green. Might be able to recover. We'll have to see.
Time for an Iowa Corn through the field, and Kevin Lee gets us going. Kev?
And Lee, it's standard operating procedure for Tony Kanaan here in Iowa. He has led more than 500 laps now in the 9 races at this track. 6 times he's been dominant, podium the last 3 years, and he felt like he had just as good of a chance to be stout here in this one today, Jan.
And for Scott Dixon, you saw a few moments ago, he was trying to challenge Tony Kanaan, not because he necessarily wanted the lead, but he doesn't really like his car in the dirty air. Townsend and Paul were talking about how dirty the air is right now. He is searching it, and Castro Neves is pushing.
Helio Castroneves is one of the most animated drivers in the IndyCar series. He says when he's in traffic, he's singing the Wiggle song, but by the end of the day, he hopes to be singing We Are the Champions. He's been quiet on the radio so far.
We'll keep an eye on this battle here. This is a battle for second position, and Castroneves moves up to second, so Dixon in third, and then we find Joseph Newgarden running in the fourth position. He picked up 3 positions right from the start. A great start for him. He thought the car was going to be pretty good, and they just want to continue what they've been doing throughout this season, Jan.
And for Will Power, he has been searching this weekend for balance all the way through the corner. You can see there's quite a gap between himself. Now we see him, and he's getting some pressure from behind from Ryan Hunter-Reay. Again, each part of the corner, the car doesn't react exactly the same way that he would like. Now, for Ryan Hunter-Reay, we talked about how the Andretti cars, and look at this on new tires. This, of course, is not for position. This is Graham Rahal on fresher rubber, showing you the difference between the two. Ryan Hunter-Reay maintains his position in 6th. Again, they're hoping that when the tires wear, their cars are better. Now, for Marco Andretti, similar strategy. He was very aggressive on the initial start. You may have seen him. He got washed high. He was kicking up dust, and he lost some of those positions. Now hoping to make those back, Kevin.
Sage Karam is off to a nice start. He's picked up a couple of spots. He's running an 8th there in the red and black car. Keep in mind, this is a young man that graduated high school just a little over a year ago. He said that 5th place run at Fontana gave him all kinds of confidence that he can run up front with the big boys.
Carlos Munoz is part of the hunted team of Andretti Autosport. His team came over the radio reminding him to go opposite of the car in front of him. He started 12th and has now worked his way up to 9th.
Justin Wilson, we spoke earlier about how he really wants to. Look at the difference in line there. Carlos Munoz was low, and we see that he's high. The reason he's running the high line, his car is a little bit loose. And Paul, you certainly know that when your car is loose, if you run high, hopefully you can keep the car underneath you.
Yeah, Jan, you know, this is still the first stint for these guys. Plenty of opportunity. We're going to see four pit stops. We're 71 laps into 300, so lots of time, Townsend, to get these cars dialed in.
Yep, and while we were doing the through the field, we saw Helio Castroneves just blow by on the low side, Tony Kanaan.
Ed Carpenter in the fuzzy Chevrolet is in for CFH Racing as we race lap 72 of 300. Almost, that's how quick it goes here in Iowa, almost third race distance. It's been fast, it's been interesting. This young rookie is one to watch for the future. Sage Karam, he is a brave young driver doing a good job for Chip Ganassi Racing.
And he's been trying to limit mistakes, and that's what he's been doing since he had a little chat with IndyCar officials and also some of his teammates around Texas. He's actually been spending some more time back in Nazareth trying to remember what it was like when he was having fun racing as a kid. You see a front wing adjustment there. So far, so good for Sage Karam. Back out with tires and fuel.
His dad, Jody, who is a health and physical education teacher, health and fitness is a big part of the family life. He said, yep, Sage called me and said, I'm going to come back home for a little bit. Remember, get back into the groove on how we got to where we are.
green flag pit stops. You've seen many of them on our nonstop coverage. Here is the current leader, Tony Kanaan, coming in. He's dominated this race before his teammate Scott Dixon got around him. Dixon came in just one lap earlier, so Kanaan getting slightly better fuel mileage. This took maybe a little bit longer on the front left, but not a bad stop for Tony Kanaan.
Marco Andretti getting serviced in the Snapple entry, and you heard Kevin talk about Scott Dixon coming in and getting serviced. There was a slight delay on the air jack, and that will have cost him.
Well, they dropped the car before the rear wheel nut was on, and then once it dropped, he couldn't get the wheel nut on and had to raise it back up. So that cost a couple seconds, and here that is an eternity.
Power and Pagenaud in for Team Penske.
And these are the kind of opportunities. They know that Scott Dixon had a delay on pit road, so they're hoping that they don't have any kind of miscues and they can make up for that deficit. The fuel flows very quickly. Yes, Power, you can see how quickly they disconnected that. Both picture-perfect stops for both Pagenaud and Will Power.
So let's go back up the front as we wait for the likes of James Jakes as he heads the field at the moment on this opening pit stop rotation. Bourdais, Hawksworth, Kimball, Chavez. Then we're going to keep an eye out for Elio Castro Neves. Elio is down there in 6th position on this rotation, but effectively the guy who's up the front. I want to keep an eye out too, Townsend, for Joseph Newgarden, and I'd say and describe him having a good quiet run thus far, but a successful one. It's a good opening stanza.
Well, you just see the patience, not so much from Joseph, but I think from his team. You know, even on the pit stops, there's a calm now there that they've won their 2 races. They know they can do it. You don't see the urgency they used to have maybe with last year at Mid-Ohio where they made the mistake. So that whole Sarah Fisher, Hartman, Carpenter team has done well, as we see Dixon here with the issue, Paul.
Yeah, as we see the car's up. Guy on the outside rear gets the wheel on. He goes for the gun. He misses it. They drop the car, and he's got to come back up with it. And away he goes. Lost about 3 or 4 seconds. But look at this, guys. Sebastian Bourdais is in the lead. What do you think of that?
He's a little bit off sequence, but he's going to stay there for a while until it's time for his pit stop, you know, by virtue of topping up there on the last yellow.
He and Charlie Kimball, who sits behind him, they are both on the same strategy, Jan.
Yes, of course. Sebastian Bourdais is going to have worn tires, but they're going to go ahead and run as long as they put the fuel in. Earlier in the stint, he was complaining about a sticking throttle. They said, well, come on pit road. He says, no. Whoa, look at that one. He takes the air off Scott Dixon. Wow, that was a close one. But they now are bringing the tires out for Sebastian Bourdais because he needs fresher Firestones.
Last time he pitted was lap 29. We're racing lap 89. Boy, that was close.
And Scott Dixon is not going to appreciate that sudden change of direction mid-corner. He fully expected Bourdais to stay high, and when he chopped down low, Dixon shot straight up the track. Watch Dixon try to force his way by.
Yeah, he was driving kind of like a road course line. He entered high and dropped right down to the bottom of the track.
Let's bring it in this lap. Let's bring it in.
And I think that Dixon thought he was going to stay high, and he's using all of the track because he's on worn tires.
And that was the voice of Jimmy Vasser.
I'll clear down.
Enthusiastically coaching Bourdais to the pit lane.
So that will leave Charlie Kimball out there, and Charlie was on the same rotation as Sebastian Bourdais, last pitting on lap 29. Here comes Bourdais, Jan.
Yes, and he's going to lose between 1 3/4 and 2 laps. So we keep looking at the action on the right side of the screen while we see hopefully a nice quick stop. Now, he shouldn't need very much fuel because he obviously topped out twice, but that took a while. That was 8.2 seconds. I would have thought he could be a little bit faster after making those earlier stops.
Enjoying a ride there aboard the Novo Nordisk car for Chip Ganassi Racing with now race leader Charlie Kimball, but he will be heading to pit lane very soon as he comes up on the KB Racing Technologies car of Stefano Coletti.
And it's been a monumental struggle now for Coletti after he had that damage early. He's 3-4 laps down as we see Charlie on the inside. A little bit tight there.
I want to take you back just a few moments ago. Townsend, talk us through this. This is Kimball and Karam.
Well, watching Sage Karam work the low line. And let's see, we understand there might have been a little communication. Yeah, that was a little Italian, I think, coming out.
Still there.
And I imagine Karam's just looking for a little love. Hey, help me out here.
Hey, I think his teammate's looking for a little love too. Help me out, right?
Racing rapidly towards the 100th lap of this 300 lapper. You got Andretti here closest to us in the yellow car. His teammate Munoz goes blowing by. Graham Rahal still on the comeback trail.
Look at how loose Coletti's car. He's sideways. He's got all these cars swarming around him. He stepped out sideways in the middle of the corner. And it's
Ryan Briscoe, who at one stage was the biggest mover in this race. Charlie Kimball comes to pit lane. Briscoe got off to a very good start for, say, the first 75 laps.
In pit lane.
Coming your way, Kev.
And he was able to stay out longer because, remember, he took contact, so they had to change the front wing on lap 29. So off sequence, that's when things get fun. When everybody's on different types of strategies and different life on the tires. Sunoco Fuel, 4 Firestones. Charlie Kimball will take a front wing adjustment as well, and he's back out. Jan?
Yes, and Gabby Chavez is also taking the opportunity to get some Firestones and Sunoco. This is a big eye-opener. He has run here in Iowa at Indy Lights, but this is his first time in an IndyCar, and he said, wow, this is a big difference when you're almost 5 Gs in these corners, and he has a bit of he's going to school at the moment, getting up to speed.
Talked to Brian Herta at the airport on the way out here, and he told me that Gabby Chavez is the best driver they've had on his team since Dan Weldon.
And they want him back next year. They're going to do everything to get this young guy back next year. Not only because he's that good, but they want consistency. They keep having one driver years, you know, and that doesn't build consistency within the team. They love this young guy, and they want him back in 2016.
You watch Newgarden here. He has closed the gap on Castroneves. He's been right there, a tenth, 2/10 of a second behind, and stalking to make a move.
Remember when you got your first IndyCar win, Paul Tracy? That same week that you had that big go-kart crash and you wrecked your hands and your wrists and everything?
Yeah.
You remember how bulletproof you felt after that? That's how Joseph Newgarden feels now. He's mixing it with the big boys and he's not afraid anymore.
He's got a little traffic now. Maybe he can use a pick, time it right.
Well, he's going to have a tough time getting past these two up front. That's Justin Wilson and James Jakes, and they're desperately trying to stay on the lead lap.
Here we go.
Watch the yellow and black car, the Wink Hardman, the Hardman oil car. Whoa! Thinks about an inside move there on Castroneves, then thinks twice. Coming up on traffic, Wilson is down in 14th position. He's about to lose a lap.
Look at that, under-over, the crossover, timed perfectly.
For the lead of the race, Newgarden is wheel-to-wheel with Castroneves.
Now he's stuck with nowhere to go. He's got cars high, low.
They both are.
Castroneves fighting back on the outside with the draft.
Just over 1/3 race distance. This has been fantastic.
The door just opened. He was able to slide by.
Wilson in the wall. Justin Wilson got high. He got up into the gray.
You can drop down now.
That was a lucky break for Newgarden. The door opened up wide open. He's got a flat tire now or damage to the rear toe link.
Probably a right rear toe link, I would guess. The yellow flag's out. There's nothing more scary than hitting the wall but knowing that you're not out, but you've got to continue and see if you can just hang on as the car damaged. And Wilson made about 9 corrections through one corner.
And not get run over by cars going 185 miles an hour.
Why did you hit the wall so hard at Indy last year? Why didn't you just have a nice little glance like that?
Because
my white wall's hit with the back side. I don't know if the back bit is okay.
Here it is again.
Goes in a little high behind Gabby Chavez.
The coin car got loose in front of all of those guys. If we can replay that again.
And
it kind of backed everybody up, and Wilson kind of moved up the track, got in the gray, and that was it.
That was Pippa Mann up ahead, and Paul, you called it. When you go in high here at Iowa, you trust that the clean air you have is going to stay there. And when a car moves up in front of you.
Yeah, the white and blue car gets loose.
Here's Pippa Mann right here. And she gets a little loose. As she moves up the track, it takes the clear air off of Wilson's front wing, and then he's done. He's just a passenger at that point.
And look at Tony Kanaan whipping through on the inside in between Sebastian Bourdais and Justin Wilson. What a shame. Justin Wilson at that point was fighting to stay on the lead lap, but in his Andretti Autosport Honda had been having a strong run.
Stay out so that we don't get in the way while everyone else is coming in.
It's the voice of Rob Edwards.
And there's two issues for Justin Wilson now. One is, okay, if it's the toe link, they can make a quick adjustment on pit lane to try to fix that, but that doesn't address whether or not the toe link has fatigue. And Lee, you asked about my crash at Indy. I'd had 2 hits to the toe link, and then it finally let go completely. And that's, you know, that's the 50-50 decision the Andretti guys are going to have to make here once he comes to the pits.
Yeah, the problem you have here with the track being so short, you could change a toe link in Indianapolis under yellow, not cost you a lap. Changing a toe link here, even under yellow, you would probably lose 2 to 3 laps.
And I believe that Iowa is the highest total G loading that the suspension sees here on these Indy cars, so they've got to be careful to make sure it's addressed.
Top 13 on the lead lap. Sebastian Bourdais, last weekend's winner in Milwaukee. The first one a lap down. James Jakes is the last driver on the lead lap. Joseph Newgarden comes to pit road. Paul, you called it. You said, and the door just opened, and he went flying through just before this caution came out. Katie, take it away.
Elio Castroneves knew that this first pit box would be his biggest battle all day. He pitted from the lead last time and fell 12th. His team is going to add 4 tires on this pit stop. Kevin?
You can see Tony Kanaan on the bottom screen. He's going to hit his spot about the same time that Joseph Newgarden is. He's all the way at the bottom. He has pit out. Newgarden will take 4 tires, a front wing adjustment, very slight, no-go fuel, and he'll just barely beat Elio Castroneves back out. Kanaan will get out third.
Pretty handy piece of driving by Newgarden.
Yeah, that was a tight race off pit road. Castroneves obviously had the quicker stop, but you know, had to pit at the head of the pits. Newgarden is at the other end of the pits.
All right, guys. Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, veterans, both of you. Veteran is Elio Castroneves, but even after all of these years, how much did that come through the field from last to second do for him last weekend?
Well, I think it's key, but I think Newgarden, now that he's won a race, the floodgates have opened.
Here we go. It's all happening tonight in Iowa.